Few couples have drawn as much attention from viewers as Kirk and Rasheeda Buckner-Frost in the glitzy but turbulent world of reality television. Drama, love, treachery, and ambition have all been a part of their love and hip-hop journey. But recent occurrences have caused shockwaves to their fan base, transforming their previously admirable bond into a scandal that made headlines. At the Frost house, it was just another night. Or so it appeared. After a long day of business meetings and promotional activities, Kirk and Rasheeda had just arrived home. Looks. The well-known entrepreneurial couple had been attempting to keep their marriage intact while balancing their careers and family lives. However, conflicts were seething beneath the surface. There had been rumors circulating over Kirk's allegiance and Rasheeda's increasing annoyance as Steven. The battle for the atmosphere grew more intense. What began as a dispute over everyday domestic issues swiftly turned into a furious altercation in which insulting remarks and shouted voices were exchanged. The scene would have made for an engaging television show, but regrettably, this was actual reality. Next came the call that no one could have foreseen from the neighbors. The commotion reported a domestic disturbance by calling 911. The situation at the Frost residence was tense when the cops arrived. And Rasheeda's eyes were red, and she looked clearly shaken and swollen from crying. Following a prompt assessment of the incident and interviews with both individuals, the officers decided to arrest Kirk. Almost immediately, the news was released. There was a mix of shock, incredulity, and worry on social media. The fact that their favorite couple was now involved in such a serious issue left fans who had watched them navigate their ups and downs struggling to accept reality. Rasheeda's tearful Instagram post fanned the flames. "I never imagined that I would have to deal with this. I'm worthy of safety and respect." A picture of her that showed both strength and vulnerability was included with the description, a tribute to her fortitude as the narrative progressed. It became evident that this was not only a fit of rage, it was the result of several underlying problems that had harmed their partnership. Celebrity insiders conjectured about the impact that fame on reality television can have on personal lives for years. A powder keg of emotions waiting for the ideal spark in the days might be created by the strain to maintain a flawless appearance while battling personal demons. That came next. The consequences were severe. Supporters were split. While some stayed faithful to Kirk and demanded empathy and understanding, others came together to support Rasheeda and urged her to put her safety first. We witnessed what they went through. A lot. It's unbelievable that it has come to this. A fan complained. The strain was evident in her search for healing and clarity as much as on the internet. She started to think about it and asked close friends and family for advice. She weighed the positives and negatives of her marriage over the years. Every romantic vacation they had taken together appeared to be followed by a moment of disillusionment or betrayal. In front of the cameras, their lives was a dichotomy, but the truth was far more complex. Kirk, meantime, had to deal with the consequences of his behavior and was due in court shortly. As he got ready for his court appearance, he had to face not just the fallout from the incident, but also the truth about his marriage. He conveyed apologies and uncertainty. In a statement, he stated, "I never intended for it to go this far. I want to make things right because I adore Rasheeda." However, the path to reconciliation was far from straightforward. Rasheeda was committed to put her children's and her own health first. According to her close friends, she was considering her alternatives and what life may be like without Kirk. For her, the thought of beginning anything new was both freeing and terrifying. The day of the hearing in court drew closer. Conjecture about what might happen increased. Would Kirk accept accountability for his deeds? Would Rasheeda accompany him? Would she decide to move on instead? The drama was similar to the most compelling love in hip-hop, but as supporters awaited the result, the stakes were much higher. Kirk and Rasheeda's story took on a life of its own, a stark reminder that actual lives are at risk behind the glamour and gloss of reality TV. Ultimately, their narrative serves as a warning, discusses the intricacies of interpersonal relationships, love, and loyalty. One thing was definite, but the future was still unclear. Kirk Frost was the Frost trip, leaning against his high-end studio's gleaming countertop, the burden of his discovery looming large in the atmosphere. As he readied himself to reveal a startling reality that had rocked the entertainment industry, his face wavered between incredulity and smoldering rage. His ex-wife and former partner, Rasheeda, was accused of stealing $9 million from their joint ventures. It's more than just a rumor. "I've been struggling with this fact for far too long." Kirk spoke steadily at first, but with a hint of emotion. I trusted her, only to discover that she has been embezzling our money. It has the vibe of a treachery on all fronts. The studio, which had previously served as a center for innovation and teamwork, suddenly felt like a battlefield. With a mixture of sadness and nostalgia, Kirk thought back to the early days of their collaboration. Together, they created a music industry empire that revolutionized their aspirations into a successful brand that expanded into lifestyle and fashion. Their achievement was a result of their mutual respect and hard effort. That's what Kirk thought, anyway. However, as the company expanded, so did the issues, and Kirk began to notice irregularities in their account. Little at first, but getting more concerning. He shook his head as recollections came flooding back. I thought it was just mismanagement or accounting errors. However, as it dug further, I discovered records of transfers that were illogical. It was similar to observing the collapse of a house of cards in front of me. When he made the decision to have a forensic accountant look into the finances, things became more heated. Kirk's sense of dread increased as the report finally arrived, his heart pounding as he waited for the findings every day. It was a stomach punch. A distressing picture of betrayals was created by the evidence, which immediately referred to Rasheeda's description of secret transactions and unauthorized withdrawals. It was devastating to see those numbers, he said, slightly louder than a whisper. Disagreements over commercial decisions are one thing, but this was blatant stealing. I was ill. Kirk recalled the instant he received the report from the accountant. Before his eyes, the figures flashed. Every one degot, which stands for broken dreams and abandoned faith. I had given our brand my whole being, and I was unable to wake up from the nightmare of discovering that the person I trusted the most was taking from me. As word spread, supporters and admirers of Kirk Rasheeda responded with surprise and incredulity. The Kirk vs. Rasheeda controversy became viral on social media as people eagerly consumed every detail. The fire was only fueled by the couple's turbulent past, which was full of passion, love, and strife. Kirk considered their connection, recognizing the peaks and valleys they had experienced throughout the years. Although we've had challenges, I never imagined it would get to this point. I feel as though I'm losing a former best friend as well as a business partner. In the midst of the drama, Rasheeda mostly said nothing, which only fueled rumors. Kirk was frustrated. I want answers, he said. Why she did this and how she believed she could get away with it are things I deserve to know. This is what we constructed, collectively. Money isn't the only factor. There were reminders of their shared dreams all around him as he sat in the studio. Kirk realized he needed to do something. This goes beyond the monetary loss. This goes beyond the monetary loss. It's about respect and honesty. I will not allow this empire to be taken away from me since I built it with my blood, sweat, and tears. He started looking into his legal alternatives since he was determined to get back what had been lost. Speaking with lawyers and planning his next move, that their combined career and personal lives would surely be rocked by the ramifications from this disclosure. Would there be consequences from the law? What effect would this have on their reputation and the supporters? Kirk negotiated this adversity. He regained his sense of direction. I owe it to our legacy and to myself to finish this. He said he was robbing himself for the fight. Investigations were still ongoing, so the tale was far from ended. Goals, the dramatic narrative that would enthrall audiences behind the gloss and glamour of their public personas, was started in motion by Kirk Frost's growing disclosure regarding Rasheeda's alleged betrayals. Describe a complicated web of feelings, treachery that hurts, and the unanswered issue of how love could become so hostile. As the media frenzy persisted, Kirk took comfort in the knowledge that he was not fighting this battle alone thanks to his friends and supporters. Ultimately, it comes down to responsibility. My resolve hardened, he said. I refused to be quieted or to give up on the world. Observing. Knowing that the truth would come to light, Kirk braced himself for the tempest that lay ahead. There was uncertainty about what lay ahead, but one thing was certain. Fans would be on the edge of their seats, waiting to see how this dramatic chapter would play out as the conflict between love and betrayal would play out in unexpected ways, would take place. Kirk walked around a dark home area. Rasheeda's confession weighed heavily on him, heavy and smothering the air with every stride, accentuated by the swelling tide of rage and treachery running through him. His voice continued, "So you really did it, just above the wisp. You cheated on me." Rasheeda crossed her arms and stood. Her visage was marked with defiance. I came here to avoid assigning blame. You believe is there anyone else who can enjoy themselves occasionally? His heart sank as he believed in anger. Who else was it? Someone I know. Did you really think I would ignore this and just sit back? She took a step forward, her eyes glinted fiercely. I'm not yours to question. Late nights and whisper talks are nothing new to you. Do you truly believe that I would ignore it? Kirk exhaled sharply as his annoyance boiled over. I believed that we were actually constructing something. I looked like a complete idiot because of you. Yes. Welcome to the club, then. She raised her voice and snapped. I had had enough of acting like everything was okay while you were out pursuing the person who drew your attention. Feeling the weight of betrayal crush him, he ran a hand through his hair. That's your excuse, then. You assumed you would simply cheat in return? It's how you stay alive. Retaliation isn't the point. I'm trying to defend myself. Her voice faltered. He could see the hurt beneath the rage as the swagger faltered just enough. I'm sick of getting walked on like Theon. Continue. In that case, why didn't you simply confront me about what I did? I wanted to think you could change, he said, taking a step forward and steadying his voice as he struggled to keep his cool. She acknowledged that the fire in her eyes briefly went out. However, I couldn't wait for you to decide to be completely honest. You gave me a sense of worthlessness. Valueless, he said, his heart pounding. That was never what I wanted. I believed that we were all on the same page. Rasheeda gave a head shake, her eyes were gleaming with tears. I wanted to be the one to cheat, don't you think? I thought I had no other option. I felt like I was hitting a brick wall every time I attempted to speak with you. I felt unnoticeable. Kirk inhaled deeply, and his face relaxed. Her words sank with gravity, and I was unaware that I believed that by keeping things light, I was protecting you. I was lying in an attempt to keep us afloat, she fired back. However, the sharpness in her voice had diminished. A relationship cannot be based on silence and half-truths. He stepped forward one more, seeing vulnerability in his rage. I apologize. I believed I could manage all by itself. However, I realize now that I was mistaken. Back then, I didn't want to harm you. Kirk, what do you want? Her voice was hardly audible as she inquired. What are your needs from us? What are your needs from us?